Have you ever stood in the dark just off stage after the curtain has fallen on the biggest performance of your life, and you realize that you have suddenly absolutely nowhere to go tomorrow? What do you do when the identity you've worn for years, the job title, the relationship, the role that defined you suddenly evaporates and you're left standing in a cold, quiet hallway with no door in sight? You feel like if you aren't doing, you aren't being. Most of us are terrified of that silence. You view the gaps in your life as failures or dead time. You panic, you reach for the nearest distraction, the most toxic kind of busy work, just to feel like you're still moving. But what if that terrifying void isn't a sign that your life is over, but a signal that your next production is currently in rehearsal? If you're currently in one of these waiting rooms of life, feeling like you're suspended in midair, stay with me. Today we're going to talk about not how to escape the void. We're talking about how you need to sit in it. In our last episode, we talked about how falling apart is the only way forward. Today, we're moving from the breakdown into the hallway. Let's explore the psychological concept called liminal space, the void, the hallway. By the end of this video, you'll understand the mechanics of in-between and why this state of transition, though it feels like a crisis, is actually the most fertile ground for your future greatness. You're going to learn how to stop the panic pivot and instead use the time to incubate a version of yourself that's higher, stronger, and more authentic than the one you left behind. If you're struggling with high achievement anxiety or a major life transition like a career change or a breakup, and you feel like your life has stalled while everyone else is moving forward, then this video is for you. I've spent over 40 years working with thousands of artists, executives, and high achievers, and I've seen people at the top of their game lose their stage and crumble, not because they weren't capable, but because they didn't know how to survive the silence that followed the applause. I'm going to share a story about my own terrifying journey, being center stage at Alvin Ailey in The Lion King, and then being forced to step away into a transition that left me in a hallway for years. Later, I'll give you 3 practical tools to help you walk through your own waiting room without losing your mind. Because walking with lions means understanding that the waiting is part of the walking. Welcome to Season 5 of Roar. In our last episode, we explored Jabrowski's theory of positive disintegration, the idea that we must break to grow. But once the old structure is gone, you don't instantly become the new masterpiece. You enter liminal space. You've left the shore of who you were, but you haven't yet arrived on the shore of who you're becoming. You're in this ocean of liminality. For a performer, this is literally the space between closing night of one Broadway show and the first audition for the next one. In fact, on any given day, 85% of all actors, whether you're an Oscar winner or the Broadway off-Broadway show down the street, they're unemployed. They're in liminal space. On closing night, you feel like a star. The next morning, you're unemployed. That gap is terrifying. Your ego wants to fill that gap immediately. It screams at you to book anything, take any job, date anybody just so that you don't have to face the void. I lived this when I transitioned from Lion King. I went from Alvin Ailey dancer in The Lion King, into a 3-year hallway, and I had no idea what I was going to do. I was no longer wearing the banner of one of the biggest musicals in the world, but I wasn't yet the dance director, teacher, mentor, or industry expert that I am today. I was just in between. I remember the silence of this apartment and sitting at my computer and trying to figure out what I was going to do and playing yoga music and meditating and feeling just scared. No more trips around the world fully paid for, no more glamorous opening nights, just me. My identity had been shaken because it had become intertwined with what I did. I felt lost. Looking back now, I can see that liminal space is not a horrifying void, it's an incubator. In that silence, I had to ask, who is Aubrey if I'm not traveling the world for Disney? Who is Aubrey if I'm not associate producer of the biggest Broadway musical phenomenon in the world? I can remember the panic subsiding and me asking myself, what are my core values? What about that job really worked for me? And why did I like that so much? And what can I do now that honors that core value? And dare to risk that time with no income to figure out who I wanted to be and how I was going to get there. Dark times. I'm not sure I did this consciously, and then going back, if I could do it again, I would actually write the values down and try to honor them. But I realized I was making choices that was honoring my core values of service, of connection, of excellence. I wanted to be in that space and feel that again. I turned down things that were not that, and I said yes to things I thought might be that. Tried not to stress about where the empty hallway led. Although I did stress, I still found the courage to honor my core values. If I had rushed to fill that void by taking a job that didn't fit me, I would have missed the chance to discover my true purpose, mentoring the next generation and collaborating with organizations all over the world. The psychology behind this is clear. Transitions require neutral zones. This is where the old rules no longer apply and the new rules haven't been written. It's a state of creative fluidness. If you try to bypass the hallway, you bring the stink of your old past into the future. You repeat the old patterns because you don't take a moment to unlearn them. In the arts, we call this production or the rehearsal process. You don't walk into a theater on day one and have a finished production. You spend weeks in dusty studios making mistakes, looking foolish, and not knowing if it will ever work. That's what Lion King was. There were things we didn't know was going to work. Things looked kind of crazy. It was crazy, those rehearsals. I miss them sometimes, but I don't miss the confusion and the fear of where is this going? How are we going to do this? The Circle of Life took 3 days to rehearse. It's 3 minutes long. 3 minutes. The first 3 minutes of Lion King took 3 days to make work and then still didn't work. We just had to get past it and come back to it later. That was something. That was liminal space. Before we move into the tools, if you're currently standing in your own hallway, please hit the like and subscribe button. We're building a tribe that knows how to find beauty in the void. One tribe, one planet. So how do you walk with a lion in the waiting room without panicking? How do you make the hallway work for you? Here are 3 tools to help you navigate the in-between. Assess the urge to act, the panic check. When you feel the overwhelming urge to send 20 resumes for jobs you don't even want, or to jump into a new relationship just to feel seen, stop. Ask yourself, am I acting out of alignment, or am I acting out of anxiety? If your action is fueled by fear of being nothing, don't jump too fast. Let the silence stay. Steep in the silence. Establish anchoring routines, micro-stability. When the big structures of your life, like a 9-to-5 or a long-term relationship, fall away, your brain loses its external clock, which causes your cortisol to spike. Wellness professionals call this situational instability. Wellness experts recommend creating non-negotiable anchors that have nothing to do with your career or your crisis. Identify 3 small, uncancelable daily routines that you perform at the same time every day, no matter how you feel. It can be making your bed at 8 a.m., a 15-minute walk at noon, or a 10-minute brain dump journal entry at 9 p.m. I just recommended this to a dancer friend of mine who's been unemployed for a while and he's freaking out. I said, just go to the gym every day at the same time and take class every day at the same time. Get back into a rhythm as if you're in a production, and you will feel better. This is what I did when I was unemployed in between shows. I went to class and the gym every single day at the same time, so my body felt like I was in forward motion, even though I was terrified that my bills were not getting paid, because they weren't getting paid. They were not getting paid. I was getting poorer and poorer. I'm never going to forget that, but I was in good shape, and my body was alive and ready, so that when the Lion King audition came, I was ready. In the theater, we have call times. Whether you're feeling inspired or exhausted, you show up at the same time every day. In the hallway of life, you have to be your own stage manager. These routines tell your nervous system, the world is in flux, but I'm still in control of my rhythm. It's not about being productive, it's about being stable. Label the liminal lesson. In liminal space, the question usually comes up, when will this end? Create a freedom audit. Write down one thing you are now free to do because you were in this hallway that you couldn't do before. If you lost a job, the lesson might be that your identity was too tied to a direct deposit, or the class or social status that job gave you, that you're about to find out you didn't need. I've seen many people rush out of the hallway and grab the first door they find, only to realize they've walked into a room they hate. Give the waiting a purpose. Don't just look for a new role. Look for the lesson. The hallway is not a prison. It's an incubator. The silence of the waiting room is where your next masterpiece is born. In our next episode, we're going to ask a question that might change how you look at your exhaustion. Are you burned out, or are you morally injured? We'll explore why typical self-care doesn't fit a soul-deep wound. Remember, your life is a dance. It's not a race. Sometimes the most powerful move you can make is to stand perfectly still and be with the silence. Garth Fagan, the choreographer of The Lion King, felt that stillness was as important as moving. And in this case, you're the artist, and the hallway is a blank canvas. One planet, one tribe, one world, one love. I'll see you there.